All right. So, excommunicated. It's official. Katy Kelly has been excommunicated. There are various news sources reporting on this, and so I'm just going to read the NBC News article first, and then I'm going to give you my commentary on it. So, what do you think about it anyway? What do you feel? How do you feel? What do you think should have happened? What do you think? Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe as well. I'll continue giving news updates on the church and all things Mormon. So, back to the NBC News article. I'll post it in the link below, in the description below. The founder of a Mormon women's group who was accused of undermining church teachings was excommunicated Monday by an all-male panel of judges who said that she can only return if she abandons her case. Katy Kelly told NBC News that she burst into tears as she read the email from her former bishop, informing her of her punishment for her activism. Quote, I couldn't really read all the words because I was crying and sobbing, but my eyes focused on. We have chosen to excommunicate you. I guess I'm a delusional optimist because in the end I thought they would do the right thing. Kelly is a lawyer and a co-founder of Ordained Women, an organization that advocates for gender equality in the Mormon Church, which reserves its top leadership positions for men and does not permit women to serve in its lay clergy. The bishop informed her of the excommunication was one of the highest profile cases in the church in years, and her excommunication would last for at least a year and be lifted only if she showed true repentance and gave up her activism. In order to be considered for readmission to the church, you will need to demonstrate over a period of time that you have stopped teachings and actions that undermine the church, its leaders, and the doctrine of the priesthood, the email said. You must be truthful in your communications with others regarding the matter that involve your priesthood leaders, including the administration of church discipline. You must stop trying to gain a following for yourself or your cause and taking actions that could lead others away from the church. Kelly, who chose not to appear at her disciplinary hearing, said that it was a tragic day. She would not be silenced. It is not that I will not abandon my cause. I can't. The church has excommunicated me and taught me to live with integrity, she said. They're asking me to go to church every Sunday and pretend I don't think there are problems with gender equality. Kelly said she would still consider herself a follower of the faith. Mormonism doesn't wash off, she said, but will socially negatively impact my worship, my connection to the community, my participation in rituals. I think it's a hideously painful blow to any woman who has ever looked around her and recognized the plain and simple truth that men and women are not equal in our church. She said as she plans to appeal, but it's not hopeful because church leader who would consider her case is the same person who initiated the excommunication process against her. There was no immediate comment from the church, which said the email contained reasoning behind the excommunication. The difficulty, Sister Kelly, is not that you say you have questions or even that you believe that women should receive the priesthood, it said. The problem is that you have persisted in an aggressive effort to persuade church members to the point of your view, and that your course of action has threatened to erode the faith of others. You are entitled to your views, but you are not entitled to promote and proselyte to others to them while remaining in full fellowship with the church. Supporters of and opponents of Kelly crusade Wade on Twitter. And so they continue to talk about different things on Twitter. And so now here's my commentary. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the article and just chime in when I feel necessary. The founder of the Mormon Women's Organization group, who was accused of undermining the church teachings, was excommunicated Monday by a panel of all-male judges who said she can only return if she abandons her cause. Okay, so that is not untrue. The people who would have decided her fate would have been all male. But for the most part, all the people that I've really heard that are opinionated on this are women, obviously for many different reasons. I mean, there's been probably 3 males that I've talked to that have, come up to me or we've talked and they've said, yeah, I think that Miss Kelly is really in the wrong here. But I've had a lot more women say, what is she thinking? What is her mindset? What does she want to accomplish? Like, we're not unequal. We're not slaves. We're not basically all the women that I've talked to are the ones that are way more passionate about this and think that Kelly is really in the wrong. So while it was a panel of male judges who would have determined her excommunication, that is not the case. There's also a really good article that Deseret News posted the other day. I'll also put that in a link below, about excommunication and why it's necessary and why it is a good thing. And I found that it was really helpful to me. I spoke with a member of a high council of our stake after reading that, and he just told me about how much love and how much warmth there is in one of those disciplinary hearings. He said that when someone is repentant and wanting to come back to God and wanting to be full fellowshipped and loved, I guess, or to love God and to listen to Him, there's a lot of happiness and a lot of joy, and the Spirit is very strong within those meetings. He also said that when people are unrepentant, usually they don't come to the meetings, or B, their negative experience. And he said that he hasn't been to many of those, but it does happen. And so I'll continue on. Kelly's quotes. Kelly told NBC that she burst into tears as she read the email from her bishop informing her of her punishment for activism. In quotes, "I couldn't read the words because I was crying and sobbing, but my eyes focused on." Like, how cheesy is that? But I don't know, maybe I'm taking too lightly. Maybe she was crying and sobbing. Just her words are very diplomatic. Someone had commented on one of the KSL pages about how she is a lawyer, which Kelly is a lawyer, and she knows very well the words she is choosing to paint her picture, to paint her story in a certain light. Like, it's not just a random accident that her words are so carefully portrayed. She has practice in this, and so that's okay. I'm not faulting lawyers, but I'm just trying to give you guys a little background. Anyways, so we've chosen to excommunicate you. I guess I'm delusional optimist, but in the end I thought they would do the right thing. And so there's another bit of subjection, is in the end she didn't think they would do the right thing. In the end she thought they would do what she wanted them to do, which isn't necessarily the right thing. Again, I fully support, as if you see my other videos, that she can have her opinions and that she can do what she wants with her opinions. But as this article explains later on, when you're actively proselyting to get a following and defying church leadership and going against what they ask you not to do, and continue to raise a stink and raise your voice when they've asked you to calm down on the subject and say, I mean, essentially they said, the church leadership said, hey, we've heard what you're saying, give us our space, like, don't demonstrate on Temple Square, let us think about these things. I mean, even the talk by Elder Oaks, which I will also put in the description below, really explained priesthood and how women do hold priesthood and are able to act under the authority. The only distinction that he made was the keys of the priesthood. And if that doesn't make sense to you, watch Elder Oaks talk, and hopefully that'll make more sense. And the more you learn about the keys of the priesthood, that'll make more sense in time too. Kelly is a lawyer and a co-founder of Ordained Women, an organization that advocates for gender equality in the Mormon Church, which preserves its top leadership positions for men and does not permit women to serve in its lay clergy. That's not true at all. I guess it just depends on who you consider serving in the church, I guess. I mean, we have the Relief Society, which, if you don't know what that is, I'll also put a link in the description below. But it's the largest women's organization in the world. They have meetings just like the priesthood. The male portion of the church has their meetings. They have their own specific classes that are called Relief Society classes, just as men have priesthood classes, and there's just two separate organizations. There's men and female. And I don't want to, separate the two as so equal. There are definitely different responsibilities and obligations that fall within each. The priesthood duties are a lot more focused on ordinances. They're a lot more focused on things like baptism or healing the sick. But even in Elder Oaks' talk, he said that women can pray just as fervently as men can pray with the priesthood, and God can bring down blessings. So, I mean, there are definitely things that the priesthood allows men to do, but it isn't about control, and it isn't about self-aggrandizement. The priesthood, it's about showing that God has more power than we do, and so it's not about, I don't think anyone's ever demanded to have the priesthood and received it, and so that even the thought that she thinks that she could do that is silly. Anyways, The bishop informed her that excommunication was one of the highest profile cases in the church in years, and her excommunication would last for at least a year and be lifted only if she showed true repentance and gave up her activism. So that's actually pretty intense. A year is a long time for an excommunication. It shows that whatever you've done or whatever you're doing is very serious. And so obviously her bishop and the others in the council that were with him, which would have been the stake president and the high priest of the stake, I do believe, they must have felt that this was very serious. And a lot of other people that I've talked to online also feel that this was going to happen. I wasn't sure. I thought that it could take another turn, but I guess when you don't show up to the disciplinary meeting, in general, they feel that that is a sign that you do not want to be accountable for your actions or don't want to explain yourself, essentially. I know that Miss Kelly said something along the lines of that it was a hardship, or that she lives in Utah now and that council would have been back in Virginia. I can almost guarantee that many multiples of people offered to pay her flight to go back there, and or that she has more than enough money to go back there. Maybe that's not the point. All I'm saying is that if she really wanted to attend that meeting, it wouldn't have been very hard for her to go there, at least not as hard as it might have been for some of us who do not make lawyer salaries. Most lawyers do pretty well, don't they? I don't know. Different conversation, different day. In order to be considered, maybe I should scratch that from the list. I will. In order to be considered readmission for the church, you will need to demonstrate over a period of time that you've stopped the teachings and actions that undermine the church, its leaders, and doctrine of the priesthood. You must be truthful in your communications with others regarding the matters that involve your priesthood leaders, including administration of church discipline, and you must stop trying to gain a following for yourself or cause and take actions that could lead others away from the church. Wow, there's something I didn't pick up before. You must be truthful in your communications with others regarding matters that involve your priesthood leaders. So that is pretty blatantly saying that things that she has portrayed in the media are not true, which is interesting. I mean, these councils are very private, and she knows that they're not going to publicly state other things that are going on because the church holds people's privacy in pretty high order. And so since she knows that they're not going to publicly state things, she can kind of control the information, which is interesting. I didn't pick up on that when I first read it. You must be truthful in your communications with others regarding matters that involve your priesthood leaders, including administration of church discipline, and you must stop trying to gain a following for yourself or your cause and taking actions that could lead others away from the church. Kelly, who chose not to appear at a disciplinary hearing, said that while it's a tragic day, she will not be silenced. It is not I who won't abandon my cause. It's not that I won't abandon my cause. I can't. The church has excommunicated me and taught me to live with integrity. Kind of two different thoughts there. She said, they're asking me to go to church every Sunday and pretend that I don't think there are problems with gender equality. And that's not what they're asking at all. They've never told her that she can't go to church. They've never told her that she can't have questions. They've never told her to even be silent about those questions. They've told her that she should stop, actively proselyting things that aren't true. And so there's a pretty big difference between, coming to understanding within your own ward, talking about things with your bishop, raising concerns there. But when you, again, actively protest on Temple Square during General Conference and really make the public spotlight about you and not always about your cause, it does send a different message. Kelly said that she would still consider herself a follower of the faith. Mormonism doesn't wash off, she said, but will seriously negatively impact my worship, my connection to the community, my participation in rituals. And I could definitely see how it would have a negative impact with, if she chooses for it to. I could see that when she moves to Kenya, that's what she's doing next. If she continues to go to her ward and worship there and, be with her family there and just show that she is really determined to make this thing work, then I could see her coming back and seeing everything be fine. But if she takes it in a negative light, which could be easy for some people to do. That's one of the things that I've noticed that the church really does ask of people, is to humble themselves, that to understand that their understanding is not the ultimate understanding. God is powerful, and that He is all-knowing and all-loving. And just because we don't understand something doesn't mean that it isn't God's love doing it. It doesn't mean that we are right. Just because we hold opinions strongly, or because the world says things should be a certain way, doesn't mean it has to be. And I've never taken the stance that I thought she was going to be excommunicated based on her, ideas of gender equality. That's not it at all. And I've said in previous videos that Mormon men and women are equal, and some people in different comments said, if anything, women have a lot more respect than men do within the church. There's a lot asked of men, and even in church discipline, from what I've seen, that women are treated very kindly. She said she plans to appeal, but is not hopeful because the church leader who considered her case is the same person who initiated the excommunication process against her. I don't know the formal process on that, but that doesn't strike me as true. I would think that if there was she thought there was some sort of bias from her bishop or her stake president, that the appeal process would go to someone else. I don't know that process, but that is what would make sense in my mind. There's no immediate comment from the Mormon Church, which said the email contained the reasoning behind the excommunication. Quote, "The difficulty, Sister Kelly, is not that you say you have questions, or that you believe that women should receive the priesthood," it said. "The problem is that you have persisted in an aggressive effort to persuade church members to your point of view, and that your course of action has threatened to erode the faith of others. You are entitled to your views, but you're not entitled to promote them and proselyte them while remaining in full fellowship of the church." So essentially, your views are not in line with the current teachings of the LDS Church. That doesn't mean you can't hold those views, but you cannot be a full member of the Mormon Church, the LDS Church, and continue to spread those views. If you're going to continue to spread those views, you need to do so under your own guise and under your own name, and not under the name of a Latter-day Saint. Fairly strong. Could it change in the future? It could. Has it changed now? It hasn't. And I think that's the main message that is being said, is there has been no revelation to change this doctrine, and until there is, you need to back away from that stance. And you are not the one that's going to receive the revelation on behalf of the whole world. The prophet will. God's mouthpiece on the earth. It's how revelation has always come. From Adam, Moses, Noah, Abraham, even Jesus Christ, who spoke with his Father, God. That is how the revelation was sent. So, until further notice, this is Mormonfan signing off. Please leave your descriptions, comments, whatever you have below, and let us know how you feel. This was a long one, so thanks for enduring. Just remember, you won't love it unless you live it.